The Jeffersons aired in 1975 was one of the first TV shows that was broadcasted with a successful black family. Before The Jeffersons, most family sitcoms portrayed the lifestyle of a white nuclear household, and black people were often seen in lines of work and domesticity. For example, in the Beulah show, Beulah and her husband were a maid and a butler. The white nuclear family household consisted of the perfect trophy wife who took care of her household and children. The husband was the head of the household and provided for the family economically. Although George is seen doing his job as a husband, we find himself struggling to remain dominant with Louise while living past the expectations of a black male during this time period. This character is not a common depiction of a black male living in the 1970s. George achieving success wasn't the society norm amongst the black community in this time. So when George achieved financial freedom, he immediately started to assimilate to the white culture. His first order of business was to hire a maid. George feels he's entitled to have one since everyone else in the building has one. Mind you, everyone else in the building is white. Louise feels she's exploiting her own race. George means no harm by his actions. He's just trying to fit in with his new society bubble and to provide to his family the same freedoms of the ideal white nuclear family, considering the population of wealthy black families were inadequate.
Hire her. Diana's a friend of mine. George, remember when Lionel was growing up and I did domestic work twice a week to sort of help out?
Yes.
Remember the folks I worked for? It was all yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Now, how can I ask Diane to say yes, ma'am to me?
Because now you're the man. That's the way life goes, Weezy. Look, some people got...
Is supposed to be head of household. Being head of the household coincides with having a good paying job to support the family and to provide everyday essentials. Well, for George's character, his race sets aside different roles. Like Bronstein states, as a black male, their only function is to be poor and hardworking. So when Diane first met the couple, she immediately thought that Louise was a maid and George was a butler. This puts upon a stereotype that black people are only good for domestic work on television. Furthermore, quote, access to property was conceptualized to the white nuclear family and minorities were excluded. Because of this concept, this led to Diane's next comment. How can you afford to live in a place like this? You ain't tall enough to be no basketball player. This also validates the stereotype that black people only move up if they become an athlete. This was a major issue in the article Employment and Blue Pencils, NBC Race and Representation. NBC received backlash from many failed attempts on how to properly represent the black community on television. Part of the reason stereotypes are so evident in television is because these series are written from what white people think everyday life in a black household is. This mentality supports the statement in Jason Mitchell's article, Why Television, when he states, television is a mirror of our world, offering a disoriented vision of national identity as well as shaping our perception of various groups of people. In conclusion, I believe it's important for black people and families to be portrayed positively because of the effects that negative representation may have on younger generations as well as my own. Black representation in media has progressed, but there is always room to grow.